Hello and welcome to PMPLounge.com. And it seems a catastrophe has occurred. A comet has arrived and has struck the planet Earth. Is the PMP Brain Dump dead? So, a lot of articles floating around the internet are suggesting that the brain dump, something at least has changed as far as the brain dump is concerned. We at PMPLounge.com have dug deeper into this and tried to get to the end of it, tried to get to the bottom of it. And this video covers everything that you need to know on what really has changed as far as the PMP brain dump is concerned. So let's get started. Let's try to understand if the brain dump is dead, if you should be as um, scared, I should say, and as surprised I can add, and as unbelievably shocked as the kid in this picture. Should you be or should you not be? Is the PMP brain dump dead or is it still alive and kicking? Let's get started. First up, as always, let's try to understand why is this important? Why should you even care about the brain dump? Because it's the brain dump. Duh. I mean, the brain dump is extremely important, and we have earlier done a video on a brain dump, how to design a brain dump and what should go in your brain dump. So I will link to that video in the description below. Do go over it, do try to understand what all needs to go in the brain dump and how you can create a perfect brain dump. So brain dump is important, and that is why going over this video is also important to understand what has at least actually changed, right? And by the way, this also does impact the way you write the PMP exam. So there is a minor change in the way you deal with the PMP exam. You write the PMP exam, you take up the exam. And that is why it's important to understand what exactly is going on here. So, what is the lowdown? If you want to have a very high level overview of what exactly has changed, this slide is it. So, aspirants from now on are not allowed to take any notes during the first 15 minutes. Now, how is this first 15 minutes decided? Why just the first 15 minutes? So, ideally, what would happen is till now, you as an PMP, you as a PMP aspirant would go in, um, and once you're done with all the security checks and everything, and you're ready for the exam, the invigilator hands over rough sheets to you, and you will basically start jotting down the brain dump as soon as you receive the rough sheets. But now, as per the new guidelines, you're not allowed to do that in the first 15 minutes. So why this 15 minutes? Is it just so you forget whatever you have memorized? Of course not. These 15 minutes were always belonged to the online tutorial about the exam. So these 15 minutes that the aspirants were using to jot down their brain dump actually always belonged to the online tutorial about the exam. And when you're given those 15 minutes and you're not actually paying attention to the online tutorial, rather you're jotting down the PMP brain dump, it is basically defeating the purpose of the online tutorial, right? So that is why the first 15 minutes when you're going over the tutorial, you are not allowed to write down or jot down your brain dump. But you, as a PMP aspirant, can definitely use your rough sheets after the exam has officially started. That is, after the clock for 4 hours has started ticking. So, PMP, as most of you must know by now, is a 4-hour exam. And these first 15 minutes, which is basically the online tutorial about the exam, made it a 4 hour 15 minutes of total time, right? And wherein those 15 minutes you used to write up your brain dump. Since that PMI has realized is something which is a part of your exam, not the tutorial. So they have made this change of allowing you to jot down your brain dump only after the 4 hours. The clock for the 4 hours has started ticking in. So first 15 minutes dedicated to the online tutorial, nothing to be written on the rough sheets during that time. After you're done with your tutorial, the clock for 4 hours for the exam has started, and that's when you can start and jot down your brain dump on those rough sheets. So again, the question is the PMP brain dump dead? Are brain dumps not allowed? That's false, right? Because you're allowed to write it down. You can still write down your brain dumps. You can still make use of your brain dumps. It is just that you're not allowed to jot it down in the first 15 minutes, which is the online tutorial time. So you get that online tutorial, you cannot write anything on the rough sheets at that time. Do not do that. You're not allowed to do that. Brain dumps are allowed, but you can write them down. You can start to jot them down only once the 4 hour for the exam have started. And yeah, the last point basically reiterates the same thing. As soon as the exam begins, you may jot down the brain dump in the rough sheet. So there's nothing that PMI has done or Prometric, the exam body, has done against your brain dump. It's just that the 15 minutes for the online tutorial have been taken back from the aspirants, so to say, because earlier the aspirants were using it for their brain dump. But this has been taken back, and this has been used for the online tutorial only, not for the PMP brain dump. So, just to reiterate this slide, brain dumps are definitely allowed. Brain dumps are not dead. You can jot down your brain dumps after the first 15 minutes of online tutorial is over. So it comes back to the original question. Why is this important? Only the wordings have changed, and now you're asking, how does this matter? So if you can anyways jot down the PMP brain dump, right? Oh, it's okay, you cannot do it in the first 15 minutes, but you can anyways do it, right? If you can anyways do it, how does all of this even matter? Well, it does matter because jotting down the brain dump will now eat some of your 4 hours exam time. So earlier, those 15 minutes which were not counted in the 4 hours exam time, the aspirants used to use for the writing down the PMP brain dump. And the entire 4 hours were dedicated for answering the questions. But now, since those 15 minutes have been taken back, you will be using some 10 to 15 minutes, or maybe even 5 minutes if you're fast enough and if your brain dump is small enough, precise enough, out of those 4 hours exam time. So that is why it does matter. And if you're struggling to complete the mock exams in the 4 hours, this could be an issue, and you may have to keep your dump precise. So that is what it is, right? We have made a video on the PMP mock exam resources, and we definitely suggest that you attend and attempt some of the PMP mock exams before going for the actual exam. And you basically time those mock exams as well and try to complete them under the 4 hours time. So if you're struggling to complete the mock exams in the 4 hours time, then this could be an issue, and you must keep your PMP brain dump small and precise. All right, then this is taken from a website pmstudycircle.com. The full link is shown on the slide as well. So this is basically a response from Mr. Greg Sheffer, who is the manager of the REP program at PMI. And it seems he has posted this on his link on a LinkedIn group. for created for PMI reps, and this was out in October of 2016. And like I said, this we have taken from the pmstudycircle.com link. All copyrights to them acknowledged. So what Greg Sheffer is saying is that over the past few weeks, we have received a few questions regarding the practice of brain dumps while taking a PMI exam. Here is PMI's policy on this matter and what will be enforced at Prometric testing centers. So testing candidates can start to utilize these scratch paper noteboards once the exam has officially started. Doing a brain dump during the 15-minute tutorial period or prior is not allowed. All scratch paper noteboards will be collected at the end of the testing session. Please keep this policy in mind if you advise your students about this practice. So this is basically coming in from PMI. This is what PMI policy has to say about the brain dumps. How can I pass the exam without my brain dump? Oh, come on. I mean, brain dump, obviously, they are important, not to take anything away from the brain dumps, but they are not such a make or break component of your PMP exam, right? If you don't have your PMP brain dump, you will not fail the exam. If you have the PMP brain dump, there is no guarantee of you passing the exam, right? So, at best, the PMP brain dump can help you answer 5 to 10 direct questions, and having direct questions in your PMP exam is a rarity in itself, okay? And if you have direct questions in your exam, which are basically asking you name certain, negotiation strategies or something, and you happen to have that in your PMP brain dump, that's a direct question for you. And those kind of direct questions are very less when it comes to PMP. So at best, PMP brain dump, a very well articulated PMP brain dump. And again, we have discussed what a well articulated PMP brain dump looks like, and I will link to that video in the description so you can go over it. So if you have a well articulated PMP brain dump, you can expect to answer 5 to 10 direct questions. That's all. Okay. So 5 to 10 direct questions out of 200 questions of the PMP, I may add, right? So when it comes to passing the exam of 200 questions, nothing beats your experience as the project manager, and that is why PMI wants you to have at least 3 years of experience as a project manager. That is 4,500 hours as a project manager before you can basically fill up the form for your PMP exam. Nothing beats your understanding of the PMP concepts and fundamentals. And we make a lot of concepts and fundamentals related video on pmplounge.com. I'll link to one of our playlists, which is just the introduction, and you can dig deeper and subscribe to our channel and go over certain articles at pmplounge.com. Wherever you're stuck, just do a search and you'll find an easier explanation to that topic. So if you have solid understanding of the PMP concepts and fundamentals, nothing is going to beat that. PMP brain dump is only a vehicle. It's not the end all. And your hours and hours of hard work and studies while preparing for the exam. Nothing beats these three things. You may have a brain dump with you, you may not have a brain dump with you. If you have these 3 points, your experience as the project manager, your understanding of the concepts, and the hours and hours of hard work if you put in, you can definitely pass the PMP exam. So I said those three are the important things. Obviously, you're wondering, can you ignore the PMP brain dump? Well, the simple answer is no. And that is why I highly suggest you watch our PMP brain dump video, which will be linked in the description. Longer answer is that it depends, because getting everything that you have memorized on paper builds confidence. So if you have all these strategies, the negotiation strategies, or let's say the risk management strategies, all of them jot down in your paper, in a rough sheet, in a rough paper which is next to you. If you have that, if you have memorized all those strategies, and if you have that jot down in the paper and which is next to you during the exam, it builds confidence. And if, of course, if you have a direct question, you can basically just have a look and answer it, right? Then it's convenient. Obviously it's convenient, right, to basically have a look and answer the question rather than trying to memorize what was the third strategy, what was the fourth strategy, what were all four strategies, which one of the options is not the correct strategy, right? So if you have everything written down already, all you need to do is just refer to that paper and you're done with it. And of course it's being resourceful, right? PMI, not PMI, but Prometric, the exam testing center, is giving you rough sheets, right? Which is obviously allowed by PMI. So I wasn't wrong to say in that PMI is allowing you to have rough sheets, right? So if you are allowed to have rough sheets, if you have those rough sheets anyways, it's resourceful to make use of them and write down everything that you have learned, everything that you have memorized. So do not ignore the brain dump, but don't be so dependent on the brain dump that you start to feel as if without the brain dump you'll flunk the exam. And that is all that we had in this video. Hope you liked it. Hope you understood what's going on with the brain dump. We at PMP Lounge definitely would recommend you to have a brain dump. Um, Always follow us on our social media, facebook.com/PMP Lounge and twitter.com/PMP Lounge. And we keep sharing a lot of helpful stuff there. Maybe some of it ends up on your brain dump, right? Like this video if you learned something, if you liked it, and subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want more such helpful videos on PMP exam, project management, industry news, and updates. As always, check out the website pmplounge.com for the latest, greatest, the best articles and videos on project management, all for free. Thank you.